All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're now going to talk about the Raiders and them basically saying Davante Adams is not going anywhere. But I was looking at my sports chat, so I know the Falcons, they released Jonnu Smith, one of their tight ends. But also, recently, um, this was earlier this morning, the Chiefs actually released Marquez Valdez-Scantling, one of their wide receivers. So that's definitely an interesting move. Obviously, he had some problems with drops. He was one of the receivers that had problems holding on to the ball. But he did have that go-ahead touchdown in the Super Bowl to put the Chiefs ahead for the first time. And he did make some big catches in the postseason the last couple of years. Um, so yeah, like we've been talking about, the Chiefs, the wide receiver position is something they're going to have to address, and letting go of MVS, again, that just supports that even more. So now he's free to go, to another team. I did see on Twitter, I'm still calling it Twitter. I did see someone posted on the bottom. It's like a video of LeBron James making a face, and it says Aaron Rodgers seeing this. So maybe MVS ends up with the Jets. And actually, this is something I think we'll talk about maybe tomorrow. But McCole Hardman had a lot to say about his time with the Jets, even though it was very brief. So I do want to touch upon that tomorrow. Um, but yeah, so let's get into the Raiders. So I know there was some, again, more speculation on if the Raiders, maybe they trade Davante Adams. Because I know the Jets, they were trying to make a push for him, to reunite him with Aaron Rodgers, but the Raiders, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. And I don't know. During the season, it looked like Davante Adams maybe wanted out because I know Garoppolo was starting. They were losing games, but then Antonio Pierce takes over. They make the switch over to Aiden O'Connell, and they still ended up finishing. They ended up finishing with a better record than it looked like they were going to, because they looked like a team that was going to finish with one of the worst records in the NFL. But they made the coaching change. They made the quarterback change. Now, again, is Aiden O'Connell the long-term answer? I don't think so. But at least he definitely was better than what Garoppolo was giving them. And now Garoppolo, being suspended and them releasing him, right now it's Aiden O'Connell. So and we'll see how the Raiders address the quarterback position. And I think, listen, Davante Adams went to the Raiders because he wanted to play with Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr is not there, so this is kind of the situation that he's in. So again, we'll see how the Raiders address the quarterback position. But basically, the general manager for the Raiders said that Davante Adams is a Raider, and the Raiders are committed to keeping him. Rodgers did try to recruit Davante to the Jets, but the Raiders just have no intention on trading him. Again, this is something that was talked about for a while, just Davante Adams being discussed in trade rumors, but it's not going to happen. He's going to stay. But yeah, the Raiders, they have a lot of they got a lot of things they need to address on the team. Again, also improving the defense. Again, the quarterback position right now, I think, is a top priority. And I think they would view that the same as well. Like I said, they're also pushing to re-sign Josh Jacobs. So, the Raiders, I think they're a team that's hopefully on the come up. But yeah, the first two seasons with the Raiders, Davante Adams has been solid. In 2022, had 100 receptions, 1,500 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns. In 2023, he had 103 receptions for 1,144 yards and 8 touchdowns. And again, you had Garoppolo, you had Brian Hoyer, you had Aiden O'Connell playing quarterback. It was a mess at the quarterback position. But again, the Raiders played better down the stretch, and I mean, we'll see what ends up happening next year. I know I talked about, Antonio Pierce and him saying that they have the blueprint to stop Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, you got to deal with the Chiefs still. The Chargers, you figure, are going to be better. And who knows what's going to happen with the Broncos. And this is something else that we'll talk about probably, over the next couple of days or week or so. But Sean Payton basically said that a decision on Russell Wilson is coming within the next couple of weeks. So Got to keep an eye on that. I mean, I think most of us believe that he's going to get released, but only time will tell. So, but I think, the Raiders, them standing firm on this, at least, that's good for Raiders fans. I mean, again, Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the NFL. I know since him and Aaron Rodgers kind of split, he's kind of been forgotten a little bit, because, I mean, when him and Rodgers were together, I mean, Davante Adams was the best. I mean, I think Davante Adams still is the best receiver in the NFL. It's just right now his quarterback situation is not the best, and obviously he's getting older now. It's again, not too long ago they had the Packers Cowboys playoff game airing on NFL Network, and that was Davante Adams' rookie year, and now we're all the way here. I mean, 10 years later, basically, and it's just, again, crazy how time flies. And again, Packers fans, they wanted to get rid of Davante Adams because his second season, I mean, he wasn't good. But then, we know what happened after that. I mean, he literally went on to become their go-to guy, and he became one of the best receivers in the NFL, and still is. Even with the quarterback situation in Vegas, he still was good. Still over 1,000 yards. So now, you get the Raiders, they bring in a better quarterback. I mean, that's only going to help him. But, yeah, so Davante Adams is not going to go anywhere. And again, that helps the Raiders, but, again, they still have a lot of issues that, they got to, they still got some issues that they have to address. And the quarterback position is the most important, and we'll see what they end up doing in the draft. Because there are quarterbacks that they could go after. And, again, that'll be beneficial for their pass catchers. And again, we'll see if they're able to bring back Josh Jacobs as well. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a team that's, heading in the right direction somewhat, especially because, Antonio Pierce, when he took over, the team started playing better. So now they're going to give him a shot, see what he does full season as a coach. As in the past, like you had Rick Bisaccia who took over for John Gruden, and the Raiders made the playoffs, but then they ended up going with Josh McDaniels, and that just did not pan out. Derek Carr, they, let him go. They bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, and it just didn't work out. But Josh McDaniels, I guess, wanted his guy. I mean, they had Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is a good player, but it's just like, they're bringing some Patriot guys over, and it's like, I mean, I feel like you could have just kept Derek Carr, but that's what he wanted to do. And now Garoppolo is not even on the team. So, I mean, again, this division is going to be very competitive. Well, I mean, the Chargers, I think, will be better with Harbaugh. I'm curious to see what they end up doing with their cap situation, because they do have a lot of guys that are making a lot of money, and some of those guys could end up leaving. The Broncos, their quarterback situation. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be the team to beat. That's what you got to, but you got to start it off by getting another quarterback, that can compete with Patrick Mahomes. And it's, I don't know if you're going to essentially get that, but you definitely need to get an upgrade over Aiden O'Connell. The division, I know I said the competitive, but I meant like the division is going to be better. But again, it's still probably going to be the Chiefs at the top, of course. But at least like with the teams that are, second through fourth, that's, they're going to be competing. I mean, listen, the Raiders and the Broncos did beat the Chiefs. They did. And that was with Mahomes playing. The Chargers, they almost beat them, but that was the last game of the season, and really nobody was playing. Um, but listen, I mean, holding on to Davante Adams is important. Because whatever rookie quarterback you decide to bring in, if that's the route they go, which most likely is, again, you want to surround him with as much talent as possible. And Davante Adams is not, not a bad thing, not a bad player to have, a really good player. So, we'll see what the Raiders end up doing. I mean, again, you got one of the best wide receivers in the NFL for your rookie quarterback if you go that route. So, and if you bring back Josh Jacobs, you got a good running game to rely on as well. So, I mean, I feel like whatever quarterback they decide to bring in, they are not stepping into a bad situation. Now, again, Antonio Pierce, this is going to be, this is his time now. He's going to be the full-time coach. First full season. So we'll see how, that ends up going. But, and also, again, like we talk about the division, the conference is loaded. So, I mean, they're going to be trying to compete for a wild card spot. Because, again, I know, like I said, division will be more competitive. But it's going to be the Chiefs division. So you really got to look to the wild card to try to make it. And you're going to have a lot of teams that you're going to have to fight with to try to, get into the playoffs, if that's your intention. And, right now it's, like I said, the conference is loaded. So, but listen, they're holding on to Davante Adams. They're going to try to keep Josh Jacobs. So we'll see what they end up doing with the quarterback position. And listen, again, the defense played better. So, again, like I said, we'll have to wait and see. But before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we come back from our second break of the show, we will discuss Sean McDermott's comments. See, I remembered this time. Again, I don't know why in the beginning I just drew a blank as to, the third topic I was talking about. But, yeah, we're going to talk about Sean McDermott and him basically, talking about the Bills getting to the Super Bowl and, and winning it, because that's something that they, been trying to do these last couple of seasons, and they've, they haven't gotten that close. Well, they've gotten somewhat close, but they haven't gotten to a Super Bowl and have a chance to win it. So that is what we will discuss when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.